Hello clan and welcome to some brief thoughts I've got on some stuff that came out at Gamescom. This is the second time I attempted to record this because OBS crashed and corrupted the previous one, but movie magic, what you gotta do. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about two things in particular that stood out to me at Gamescom. Now, I have been paying attention to Gamescom a bit, but a lot of the stuff that comes out isn't really worth talking too much about. There is a couple of things I may do a video on later, but I feel like I can only talk about really a few things. Now, Sony was absent from Gamescom, which is a bit of a surprise in all honesty, because it's just weird in my opinion. But they are going to announce stuff later in the year, I have no doubt about it. But Microsoft did have their press conference, and overall the press Gamescom conference, whatever you want to call it, was okay. It wasn't anything fantastic. It probably was better than a E3 one if you ask me. But there were two things that did stand out to me at the conference in particular. The first thing being, of course, Quantum Break. Now, this game, when it was first announced, didn't really pique my interest too much, if I'm going to be honest. It didn't look that interesting. But I did lay it down and I'd say I'll give it a chance. Remedy are a decent developer. I haven't played too many of their games, but they make decent games from what I've heard. And this one, they did announce some new stuff. They did announce a couple of things. Now, this was already announced beforehand, but there is going to be a sort of like TV show running alongside Quantum Break, and I think it is going to be exclusively for Xbox One, if memory serves me. Like the show, like you have to download it or something, or stream it more than likely. But they did also announce that there is a new lead to the guys. Ashmore, I believe his last name is. You'll recognise him from the X-Men movies, and if you watched Warehouse 13, you'll recognise him from there. If it's the same actor, I think. If not, I apologise. But he is a good actor, in my opinion, and they showed off some new gameplay as well, and a couple of clips from the show, and it was enough to at least pique my interest a little bit. It does look like it's going to be a well-made game, well interesting. Definitely the main plot is interesting, at least enough to maybe go, this looks interesting. The main plot overall is basically something has happened to time. Due to an experiment or some kind of event by the looks of it. Your main character, whose name escapes me, is basically going to has now time abilities, able to slow down time and either slow down it altogether or in specific areas, create some kind of like time shield, use time to advantage against its enemies, which does pique my interest a little bit. The overall way they'll handle that does pique my interest a little bit with the fact of how it's done, and also it does look like it's going to be well acted as well. The overall presentation with it though wasn't too interesting overall. I say they brought out the lead, Mr. Ashmore, whose first name escapes me, which he was there for like just a fist bump or something. I guess he was just there to show face, but it does look interesting, at least the way they're handling. I'm kind of interested to see how they're going to integrate the show with the game. Now, this isn't the first time anyone's attempted like a game and TV show tie-in. Recently, of course, Defiance did it, the sci-fi show, which actually I'll happily admit Defiance is actually a decent show in my opinion. I actually kind of like it. It's with a few sci-fi shows on, so I'll take anything I can get, and it's actually good. But yeah, Defiance was the first one to not the first one, I'm sure there was all one before, to do this, and it at least piques my interest in that sense of the word. How they're going to integrate the way it is. Now, it was not enough entirely to make me get an Xbox One, if I'm going to be honest. I am leaning a little bit more to getting an Xbox One with some of the games that have been announced. Of course, Quantum Break, which is piquing my interest enough that maybe I'll get it. Of course, the Gears of War series. Now, I've never been the biggest Gears of War fan personally. I have attempted to play the first one, but I can't really, in all honesty. It's too old now for me personally. It feels a bit janky if you ask me. I have played Gears of War 3, which I actually did like a little bit. Not a lot, but I did enjoy it. I liked it, but I feel as though I was missing a lot. So with Gears of War Ultimate, it's piqued my interest enough to maybe go, you know what, I may actually pick that up. And of course, Gears of War 4 actually does look kind of cool in my opinion. And of course, Lord of Bailey and Travis Williams, can't really complain with that. But yeah, I will admit Gears of War 4 is piquing my interest, and I'm kind of like, that's leaning me a little bit more towards getting it. There is another game, of course, that is leaning me towards that. Now, that's pretty much everything I have to say on Quantum Break. I can't remember everything I said, unfortunately. I spent like 5 minutes talking about it previously, which is around about the same time now. But I am interested in Quantum Break and the way it is implemented. The other game that is piquing my interest is the sequel to this game, Tomb Raider, the rebooted Tomb Raider, which is, in my opinion, the best Tomb Raider. Rise of the Tomb Raider. Now, first of all, let's get this out of the way. I've made it no secret, that I think I even have a video on it, that I am pissed off at the fact that this is a timed exclusive. If you don't know, Rise of the Tomb Raider is going to be on Xbox One first, and then released on PS4 and PC a year later by the looks of it. Now, I don't know if the year is 100% true, but from all sources, it's a year. We're going to have to wait to get Rise of the Tomb Raider on other platforms. Now, firstly, I understand why this is the case. Microsoft are the ones who are putting up the money to actually get this game made. They're actually the ones who are investing in it. Square Enix, who published this one, can go suck squirrel balls. Because if you're unaware, this game sold relatively well. I think it eventually did sell near 1 million copies, if not over 1 million. I can't remember off the top of my head. I don't pay too much attention to sales figures personally. But it actually reached the total that Square Enix wanted it to be. There was a contractual obligation that if this game reached X amount of sales, and the sales was like in the millions, I think, then they would greenlight a sequel. Now, eventually it did reach that, but I'm pretty sure by that point Crystal Dynamics had probably made a deal with Microsoft. But yeah, Square Enix were not going to publish a game if this game published a sequel, if the game didn't sell over, I think, 1.5 million, I think it was. Just to reiterate, if a game sells more than, I'd say, 50,000 copies of it, I think it's doing relatively well. If a game sells a couple of 100,000 copies, that's phenomenal. But a game to sell 1.5 million copies, and I think it was like a year, that is rare. No, not rare, but that is near impossible in some instances. You have to have a really good license or be a really well trusted developer. Hell, the Grand Theft Auto sold millions in a couple of weeks. Mass Effect 3 sold millions in a couple of weeks. Dragon Age Inquisition, I think, has by now probably sold a couple of millions. But for a reboot to a very well loved franchise to sell 1.5 million in less than a year and a half, or a year I think it was, that is pushing it. So yeah, Square Enix can go suck squirrel balls, in my opinion. They are not. Like, I'll give them credit for publishing this. If not for them, we probably wouldn't have this reboot. And I'm very happy that we got this reboot. Crystal Dynamics did an exceptional job. I actually love the story in this game. So yeah, I give them all the praise for that. And that is why I wanted to see a sequel, and why Rise of the Tomb Raider is probably the biggest reason I have to buy an Xbox One. Even though it isn't enough to actually make me go do it in that, and besides I don't have the money for it. Because I really want to play Rise of the Tomb Raider. I really want to play it. And to avoid spoilers for over a year for a game or any kind of media is next to impossible, especially with this in this day and age with the access to social media and Twitter and all that. It's going to be near impossible to avoid spoilers for this game because there will be people critiquing it and people talking about it. I'm going to do my damnedest if I have to avoid spoilers and wait a year to get on PS4. And there is a actual reason you probably should wait, because by the time it comes out on PS4 or PC, that'll be the definitive edition. That'll be the edition that'll have the DLCs, the patches, all that lovely, lovely junk. You'll get the DLCs basically for the price of the game. So that's a reason to wait, in my opinion. It all depends on all. It all depends when I get an Xbox One. I might not get an Xbox One. I may have to wait a year, and if I have to, I'll wait a year. I'm not going to. I need more than one game to buy a console. So yeah, but that being said, they did show some stuff at Gamescom, some new gameplay. The gameplay looks like it's the exact same gameplay from this. Your survival one, you're going to have to be stealthy, using your guns, upgrading your campfires to make your equipment better, bows, your shotguns, your assault rifles, your pistols, and your various traits and abilities. It looks fairly similar to Tomb Raider, this one. I'm sure there are going to be new stuff that will be implemented in the game as they come down. I just hope they don't reveal too much. Because as a sequel, it needs to have new stuff, in my opinion. But in all honesty, I'm a big proponent of it ain't broke, don't fix it. So Tomb Raider's gameplay was actually really good. The gameplay in this game was really good. The way they implemented it, there was a couple of realism things that they were trying to go for, but they ended up changing it quite a bit, like the way the weapons upgraded and a couple of things. But I am interested to see how they're going to implement that in Rise of the Tomb Raider. Which is going to be, and of course, the other wee nitpick I have is Rise. Why is everything Rise? Dark Knight Rises, Superman Rises, that kind of stuff. Why? What's with all the rises? Don't get it. But yeah, and they also announced that tombs will be coming back. You'll actually be a Tomb Raider. There were tombs in this one, but they were relatively small. Apparently, there are going to be bigger tombs in this one, which is very interesting. I'm kind of happy to see what they're going to do with that. But Rise of the Tomb Raider is probably the game that if I had the money, I would probably get an Xbox One for. But at the same time, it's also the game that I'm like, I'll wait personally. If I put a gun to my head, I'll wait. In all honesty, but it is one of the biggest reasons, in my opinion, I would probably get an Xbox One, even though it isn't the one that's tipping over. There needs to be another big game announced for me to actually even consider getting an Xbox One. Well, to get an Xbox One, I am considering it, but it all comes down to money and all that reasons. There has to be a really big game, in my opinion, to make me get it like right there, right then. And so far, there hasn't. The games that I have talked about, like Gears of War 4, Quantum Break, and of course Rise of the Tomb Raider, they are making me consider picking up an Xbox One. They haven't made me go and get an Xbox One. So yeah, that's about it. And of course, let me ask you: what did you think? What stood out to you at Gamescom? Are you excited for Rise of the Tomb Raider? What do you think of Quantum Break? Let me know in the comment section down below. Other than that, I thank you for watching, and Gamescom has been interesting. Hopefully one year I'll get to go. Other than that, I thank you for watching. As always, I'm Scottish192, and I'll see you all next time. Ciao for now.